This is not the normal content that I actually cover, but I felt like this is something I wanted to throw my 2 cents on because this creator's life lines up really similarly to my life. Basically, they are a content creator who wants to go full-time content, but their parents are kicking them out of their house.
I'm getting kicked out of my parents' house in 5 months because I'm making a career decision that they do not approve of.
By the way, this is again, don't send hate to the creator involved. That is not what this is about. Their handle is Carrie Berry, and they go by the nickname Care Bear, I suppose. Also, they have really nice teeth.
Basically, I graduated a while ago at this point. It's almost been a year. I graduated from pharmacy school in May of 2024. And I haven't been just like chilling the whole time. Like, I've been getting my certifications and license. Basically, I just became a fully licensed Florida board certified pharmacist.
Okay, just a spoiler right now. I have a hot take, and my hot take is I agree with her parents. But we'll get into this. She actually graduated 3 years after I did. Her life lines up so much like mine. That's why it's just so interesting because she is going in for pharmacy school. I went to UC Berkeley for biology. So I went to UC Berkeley with the intention of going and becoming a doctor, to go to med school. That was my intention. That is why I went there. She also works in STEM. We love a woman in STEM.
So I've been looking for work ever since, but like I've been telling my parents like pharmacy is not really my passion. Like this is not something that I really want to do. But it's like, this is what I got my degree in. So they've been like setting me up with their people that they know and like, talking to people who work at certain areas, and really nothing has worked out. And
I agree with her again. I was also in my schooling for biology. By the way, me going to school for biology, it was not the traditional Asian immigrant stereotype where your parents are like, you must be doctor, lawyer, engineer. No, it was not that. I wanted to be a doctor. Ever since I was 3, I wanted to be a doctor. We would go to bookstores and I would make my parents buy me human anatomy books at like 5 or 6 years old, okay? From a child growing up, I genuinely wanted to be a doctor. I wanted to be a pathologist specifically. And then I got to college and I realized I really didn't want to do that anymore. I realized I loved learning about the human body and human anatomy. I realized that I did not want to do it for a career. And that was a distinction that I did not make until college. I just wasn't mature enough to make the decision.
In my head, I'm like, this is probably not working out for a reason. Like, I've always just felt like I'm not supposed to do this. Like, of course, once I was getting the degree, I was like, okay, I'm going to be a pharmacist. But then as time went on, like when I only had like a year and some change left, I was like, this is not really what I want to do.
When you're in that deep and you really are so lost on what to do, you don't really have the flexibility to explore what other options you have because you are so jailed into your major that you're kind of stuck finishing it. That's how I felt anyways.
I want to say my parents have always been the type to support whatever their kids want to do, but at times it does come with a little judgment. Like if they don't agree with the decision you're making, like they're going to let you make it, but they're going to let you know they're not happy about it, which I mean, that's understandable, but I feel like I've always been like the child that tries to please them and like go with the decision that they want me to make.
I agree, right? Like my parents were like that too, but like, if I was going to make some stupid decision, I would hope they would weigh their opinion on it, right?
Go with the decision that they want me to make. Anyway, but they did not force me to go to pharmacy school at all. That was my decision. I wanted to be a pharmacist at the time. So fast forward to last week, I was like, you know what? Like this isn't working out. I'm going to like try a different career path or apply to different jobs or, just because I really don't even want to do this, take social media a little bit more serious and see where I can make different incomes. But I didn't let them know this immediately because I was going to sit down and have a conversation with them about it. And also,
I again relate because I did the same shit, but my timeline was a little bit different because I did that in college. Like when I realized I didn't want to do biology anymore, I was like, shit, I need to lock in and figure out another career where I could make money. Otherwise, I will be stuck doing biology and working in a lab. Like it's not will I be doing this? It is, I will have to do this unless I find a better option. So I locked in and started doing content when I was in college to try to like find a better option for myself.
Did say that like I'm the child that likes to please them, but also I'm the type of person, if I really don't want to do something, I'm not gonna do it. Like I've always been stubborn in that way. So like yeah, I kind of am a people pleaser, but like I'm not really a people pleaser to the general society, but I do like to please my parents. But also if it's something that I really just am against, I'm not gonna sit there and suffer through it. Like I'm just gonna be like, oh no, I'm not doing that. You know what I'm saying? So we were in the kitchen. Fast forward to like 2 days ago, we were in the kitchen, I was cooking, and every time we talk about pharmacy, like it just makes me cringe. Like they're like, did you talk to this person? I sent you their number. I'm like, yes, like I talked to them. And then they said something, and I was just like, I don't want to be a pharmacist. And like they knew this, but like this time I could have like said it sternly because I was just fed up. And they were just like, it was just like awkward, like, oh, this is just serious. And so my parents are just like, well, give us the reasons why. Well, really mainly my mom. I would say my dad is more supportive of my decision than my mother, but it's my stepdad, which I mean, he raised me, but like I think that he also just tries to go along with what my mom says sometimes, just so she won't get mad at him. But my mom's like, give me the reasons why you don't want to do this and why you don't want to be a pharmacist and that. And in my head, I'm just like, I don't really feel like I have to. I just don't want to do it. Like, I don't know why you need me to lay out ABC 1, 2, freaking 3.
I can empathize with the parents. And I think it's because I'm older, so I'm no longer in this situation. Like, I was in this situation where I was in a car ride with my mom, and she was asking, and she could tell I was like not giving very many answers. Because again, I was in the same way where I didn't want to like disappoint my parents. I am very stubborn, and I will do what I want. But if I, like, I didn't want to disappoint my parents if I didn't have to. But I was at that point in the position where she was, right? I was like maybe 2 years into college where I knew I didn't want to do biology. Like every day that I was in those stupid classes, I was miserable. I was so sad there. I was miserable. I did not want to be there. When I was in my physics class, I was just drawing and doodling in my notebook instead of actually paying attention because I just did not want to do it. And deep in my gut and deep within the marrow of my bones, I knew that I did not want to do biology. I can really empathize with the parents as well because you had expressed for the entirety of your life with them that you wanted to do this one thing, and then out of the blue you don't want to do it. So for your parents, it's probably really big whiplash, right? Because they thought you were going to be doing this and then you all of a sudden weren't. My mom, I remember, again, I was in that car with her and I was like, I don't want to do biology anymore. And she was like, okay, so what do you want to do? And I was like, esports. And she was like, there's like not much money there. Obviously it was like a more professional conversation than that, right? I'm speaking like Gen Z lingo, but I was like, yeah, I'll figure it out. But I can get from the parents' perspective how it's probably huge whiplash because literally for my whole life, I wanted to be a doctor. Like my whole life. I've never expressed anything else besides that. So all of a sudden out of the blue, like after 19 years of them knowing me, right? Because I was 19 years old at that point. I told them I didn't want to be a doctor anymore. It's probably pretty big whiplash because they just assumed that I was going to try to be a doctor because I've always expressed that. So I can get why the parents are probably pretty shocked. I think one thing is also very interesting too, because a lot of like Black families and Asian families actually have very similar cultures, like in terms of their expectation for their children, the respect that they expect their children to give to them, and the emphasis on the career, because they want their children to get this like education to work in very standardized engineer, lawyer, doctor fields. So I see a lot of similarities between her upbringing and my upbringing, and like how her parents are reacting to her is very similar to how my parents reacted to me when I literally did the exact same thing. That's why it's like I relate so much, which is why I wanted to talk about her scenario, because it reflected so much in my own life. I feel like it's just immigrants. If you are a child of immigrants, a lot of immigrant families, especially first generation, because I'm first generation American born. My parents were not born in America. They're like that. A lot of immigrant families are like, hey, we came here for the American dream. We want you to get the education that we were told would give you the American dream, and for you to get a stable job so that you didn't have to suffer like we did. Like my parents did not suffer through poverty and communism China for me to then piss away a Berkeley education. And again, I don't know her background, so I don't want to speak on her family or anything like that, but I feel like most first generation immigrant children will have a very similar upbringing. Where I get it, a lot of times too, your parents won't have retirement. You as the child is the retirement. My family, thankfully, is not the case like that. But still, right, it's not fair, the pressure that is put on the first generation child to kind of be the savior for the family. But it kind of does end up that way because your parents will sacrifice so much to get to this country. There's really not much left for them after they've given everything off their backs, like it is a really unfortunate scenario, but that's just how it ends up playing out.
Of why I don't want to be a freaking pharmacist. But anyway, we talked about that for a minute. And then she goes into like the whole rant about how she spent so much money on my education and all of this. And I could have told her earlier if I didn't want to do it, which I completely agree. But I didn't realize this until I was damn near done with school. You guys want to let me quit school when I was more than halfway through? Like, Let's
This was where I was like, oh my God, this is gonna sound so rude, but sometimes you don't get a fucking choice. You just don't. And I'm saying this as somebody who was in the exact same position as her because my parents also paid for my college. And I've said this many, many times. I do not make that like a secret thing. You guys know that my parents have paid for my college, and that is privilege. Do you know how privileged it is to have parents that paid for your entire fucking college schooling? You will start your life without debt. Do you know how many people start 10 paces behind because they are balls deep in debt, balls deep in student loans that they took out to get an education just to not want to use that education? Again, it's up to you whether you want to use it or not. You got the education. You are totally valid in not wanting to work within your major. But do you know how lucky you are to have your parents pay for your education? I know how lucky I am to have my parents pay for my education. I'm a full-time content creator now. I would not have been able to do this if my parents did not pay for my college because I would be in debt. I would be in so much debt. College is expensive, and your parents paid for your college, and then you realize midway through that you don't want to do this major anymore. And I get it because I was there. I felt so much guilt because I was like, holy shit, my parents are paying for this degree that I don't want to use. Like, I don't want to use this degree. I know I don't want to use it. I know I have no intention of doing it, and it feels like you're pulling my teeth to try to do this. But you know what? Sometimes you don't get a choice. You just suck it up and take all the privilege that is given to you, take all the gifts that your parents gave to you in the form of a free education, and you suck it up, you get your degree, and you get a job in your major to make some money. Okay, until you can find a better alternative later. But I'm just saying, because I did not want to major in biology anymore. I realized like 1 year, 2 years in, I did not want to do it. I was miserable doing it. I knew I didn't want to do it. But I also knew that I had no other options to make money. Was I depressed about that? Yeah, I was. But I knew I had no other options to make money, and I knew my biology major was the only thing that I had, and that I was going to get that biology major, and I was going to go get a stupid lab job. That was my plan, because I needed to make money. Point blank simple. This is the thing. Like, it just, to me, sounds like this person is so ungrateful. And again, I get it, because if you grew up with privilege, like, that is just what you're used to. And I was there. I was literally in the exact same position, so I completely relate and empathize to her situation. And I was salty too that I had to get the stupid degree that I didn't want to, because my parents are like, college, you must graduate from UC Berkeley, like da da da. They also insisted I go there too. I was like, okay, well, if you want me to go here, I will get my biology major degree. You guys said you pay for it, so just please, as long as you pay for it, I'll get it. That was like the agreement, right? That's just crazy to me. Like, I could totally get why her parents are upset, especially her mom, because I'm sure, at least in my parents and I'm sure with her parents too, right? Like, they worked to make all that money so that they could send you to college. That was their whole goal, to send you to college. And I'm sure that's been told to her since she was young, at least in my case, right? My parents have always emphasized they were going to pay for my college. As long as I went to college, I had to. There was that, you know? And like, my parents could have retired way earlier if they didn't have to send my brother and I to college, but they did not, because they had to send us to college. But yeah, imagine the mom like working all of these extra shifts overtime and like pushing her retirement back to send her kid to college, and her kid turns around, it's like, yeah, I don't want to do it.
just be realistic. So I'm just sitting there listening or whatever, and so my parents are like, you don't want us to help you out anymore with getting jobs. Well, first of all, it hasn't even been helping. None of your contacts has even gotten me a job. That's like another sign why I really shouldn't be a pharmacist, right? Like,
this is also a bad take, in my opinion, because I'm sure none of your parents' contacts have worked out, because you probably go to the contact, the interview, or the coffee chat, or whatever, right? I didn't get that far in my biology education. But I'm sure it didn't work out because you put in probably zero effort. It's like when you date, but then you're like not interested in dating whatsoever, but you like half-heartedly go on some dates anyways, and then it doesn't work out. Like, it takes two to tango, and the date is not going to work out if you show zero enthusiasm, you know? Like, you're not going to get a job if you seem extremely disinterested in the job you're trying to interview for. Again, do you know how privileged you have to be to have contacts for your field? If I wanted to go into medicine, my parents have zero contacts for me. We got no doctor contacts. You have doctor contacts, pharmacy contacts. I get that it can be so frustrating if life is handed to you on a silver platter, but you just don't want that. You know, I get that. I feel like you also have to understand that it does come off as a pretty privileged take to be so, like, flippant about what life is handing to you.
None of this is working. So, and mind you guys, I don't want to do retail. Like, if I wanted to get a retail job, I would have been had a job. If I wanted a hospital job, maybe I would have been had a job. But anyway.
So what are you doing? But that's why for me, it's just so frustrating because there's just a lot of entitlement and privilege here. Maybe it comes from a place of like dissatisfaction with yourself, right? Like, hey, I really don't know what I want to do. I want to take some time to figure it out and figure my own thing out. But everybody in my life keeps like hounding me and like pushing me towards one direction that I don't want to go. Like, I can get that can be frustrating. But, also the whole like, I don't want a retail job. I don't want to. You don't have any job. You don't have a job. Okay, come on. You've graduated college. You have no job, nothing. You should be grateful that you're living in your parents' home after out of college. Like a lot of parents expect their kids to go straight into the workforce and support themselves. But you are able to live at home with your family. That is also privilege. And I relate because I had the same privilege. After I graduated college, I wanted to pursue full-time content creation. And my parents let me live at home rent-free. But my parents and I, we had an agreement. The agreement was I graduated college a year early so that I could figure my shit out. That was my agreement. No, she is young. Like, I'm guessing she's 2 years younger than me. So she's probably 22 because I'm 24. She graduated in 2024 and I should have graduated 2022. I graduated 2021 though. But yeah, like, so what I did in my scenario is that my agreement with my parents was that they were going to pay for my college. I were to go to the school they wanted me to go to, UC Berkeley. And then I was to get a degree, my biology degree. That was the unspoken agreement, okay? I knew, and I was in her position. I knew I didn't want to do the stupid biology degree. I did not want to do it. So my agreement with my parents was, this was my agreement to them. I graduated a year early so I could have 1 year to figure my shit out. I figured my shit out in 6 months, but so that I could have time to get on my feet, figure my things out, whatever. And my parents were okay with it because I saved them a year's worth of college tuition and housing money because I knew I didn't want this degree. So I was like, okay, if I don't want this degree, what am I going to do? I'm going to get out as fast as possible. I'm going to take as many units as possible. I'm going to blow through my classes as fast as possible. I'm going to graduate a year early. So then I will have 1 year of like cushion room with my agreement with my parents so I could figure my stuff out and figure out what I'm going to do after this. And if I could not get my stuff together, I was going to go get a stupid biology lab job. Like, that was the goal. That was the end goal if I couldn't make my stuff work. In my scenario, what I did was by then, I had been like content creating. Content creating. Like I had like 200K followers on TikTok. I was making like $8,000 a month, probably. Like anywhere between like $5,000 to $8,000 a month. So that puts me at an annual income of anywhere between $60,000 to $90,000 per year, probably, right? I made that money for 6 months from my content. And then I showed my parents that I was like, hey, I could make all this money from content and I got an esports job. So again, I graduated 2021 May, and December 2021, I got a job in esports. And I was like, I'm going to move to LA so I could do my esports job, but I'm going to do content on the side and just have double income, basically, like this. And I was like, this is what I'm going to do. Here's how much money I make from this. Here's how I'm going to support myself. I will have a job that will pay for my health insurance and all of this. And then I will have my other content income as well. And I laid that all out for my parents. And then they were like, okay, whatever. They didn't support me really moving down to LA, but now they're chill. Now they're supportive. At the time, they didn't really understand it though. That's how I personally did it because in my opinion, you can't just go like, okay, like, I guess you can depending on how much privilege you have, right? Like how much your family is willing to support you, but you should not quit your job or not get a job to pursue full-time content if you don't actually make enough money from content. And this is not just content, but any freelance work for that matter, content, art, whatever. If you quit your job to pursue freelancing without at least 6 months of consistent income from freelancing, you're going to be screwed. Tyler, I think at our end, at their core, our immigrant parents just want to ensure that we can take care of ourselves without them worrying about us. I agree. And that was actually exactly my parents. Like at the end of the day, my parents didn't care if I was a doctor or a lawyer or whatever. They just wanted me to have a freaking job where I could sustain myself on my own and live fine and live comfortably. That was all they wanted. My job could be anything for that matter, as long as it's ethical, right? Like I could make money selling furry art for all they really cared. As long as I made enough money to live comfortably so I was sustainable on my own, that was what they cared about.
And I'm like, no, like, I don't want any more help with pharmacy jobs. Like, if you have any other connects, sure. And then that's when my dad's like, okay, well, we're not going to help you anymore. You have 5 months to get out. Go to part 2.
I agree with the parents trying to kick their kid out. Sorry, that's a bit of a hot take because the thing is, I think if the parents didn't give her like a deadline, like 5 months, you're gonna get kicked out, I think she probably would have continued dragging her feet. You know, like that is like a wake up call that she needed.
I'm getting kicked out of my parents' house in 5 months for making a career decision that they do not approve of. If you haven't already seen part 1, go watch that. This is part 2. So yeah, when my dad's like, okay, you have 5 months to get out, I'm like, oh, because like I said, my parents have never My parents are very supportive. They have never said shit like that to me. Mind you, I'm 25 years old.
Wait,
and I know
she's 25. She's older than me. I did not watch part 2, by the way, guys. Okay, yeah, your parents are completely in the right. And they give you 5 months too? Holy shit. I thought she was 22 or something. That makes sense, though. I was like, pharmacy school at 22 is kind of fast, but I don't know. Okay, girl, you gotta get out. I'm sorry. Like, that changed a lot of things. Even more already. Already, I was like, you've been dragging your feet for a minute, right? Like, you kind of gotta figure your stuff out. Because she graduated May 2024. It is now February 2025. So it's been like 8 months, 9 months. So far, she has not stated prior work experience. But she said that she didn't want a retail job, from what she said in the previous video. Like, look, I don't want to be an asshole, but she just sounds very immature and very privileged. And I get it too, because like I was kind of like this, although I was much younger, like when I was like 20, like 19, right? Like the thing is, if you grow up privileged, you don't realize the privilege you have until you get friends. And then you realize, wait a sec, you're actually really lucky for what you were given. Your parents paid for your college. They paid for your schooling. They let you live at home what looks to be rent-free for like 8-9 months. They're giving you contacts, connections to get you your foot in the door for a pharmacy job. You are so lucky to have contacts. One of my friends is in dental school right now. She would love it if she had dental contacts. She does not. She would love it. You are very privileged and you don't understand the privilege that you have. And I get it because it can be really hard to acknowledge privilege. It can feel very uncomfortable. Privilege is not a bad thing. It doesn't make you a bad person, but you just have to acknowledge like, hey, this is where you stand in life and you do stand further than other people because of what you were given. That's fine. Doesn't make you a bad person. That's just how it is.
I know that even if I wanted to stay here till I was 30, I was never getting kicked out. That wasn't the goal, to stay here till I was 30, but it's like I was never getting kicked out. So it was like, oh, I must have really pissed y'all off. Anyway,
I just think like the parents are probably tired, man. Like if they've constantly been asking, hey, how's the job hunting going? And you said, I don't know. I'm sure your parents are probably going to get fed up after X amount of time. It's been 9 months.
So I didn't really react. I was just like, okay. Because in my head, I'm like, living with my parents is not bad, but I need to get out of here eventually. And I kind of did want to be out before 2025. So like, none of this is really phasing me. Like, I'm not mad at this. I feel like they're the ones that are mad, and I feel relieved. I feel relieved that I've just felt pressured to like get a pharmacy career and like just.
I would also say on a complete side note though, moving out of your parents' home is actually great. It is great for your personal growth. It's great for your personal development. And if you and your parents are butting heads for things like career choices, moving out, if you can't afford to do so, will basically completely fix the problem. So at least in my experience, right? Like my parents weren't the most supportive of me pursuing full-time streaming and esports in the beginning. They just had no idea what I was doing. So they thought I was pissing away my Berkeley education for hee gaming. So I totally get why they were wishy-washy about it, right? I moved out and now our relationship is great and now they fully 100% support me. They're my biggest supporters. Sometimes absence makes the heart grow fonder and you do need to be a little apart for both you and your parents to grow. For you to grow as a person away from the, shadow of your parents, and for your parents to grow and understand that you are an individual human being and no longer a 5-year-old toddler.
I just like I was living everybody else's dream. Like everybody would be telling me, oh, I'm so proud of you. Like you got your degree and all this. But in the back of my mind, I'm always like, I'm not really that proud of myself. Like, I don't know. Like I knew I was smart. I knew I could do it. Like that was never an issue. So like the fact that I got out of school, thank y'all for being proud of me. But I think that now it's time for me to do something that I'm proud of and not what other people are proud of. And if it comes with judgment at first and, halfway support, no support, I can live with that because I know that I'm making a decision for me and not for other people.
Yeah, I totally get that. I just want to add, my comments are not about if you're living at home as a disabled individual. This is if you're able-bodied and received an education your parents paid for, and your parents are throwing all the resources at you to get a job, but you still haven't gotten a job, and then now they're kicking you out and you're confused. It's about if you're in this scenario specifically. I completely agree and can relate to how she feels, where it feels like you're living a life that other people want you to live. And it feels like you want to live life for yourself and you're not sure how to go about that. I can completely agree with that feeling. But here's the thing, and this is what a lot of commenters have said, right? You just need to suck it up. You can go and pursue your own journeys, your own passions, while still having a job that you're like okay with. Most people are not going to love their job. You just need a job that pays you well enough so you can do your hobbies after your job, and you can fund your hobbies using your income from your job. I would feel like it's pretty hard to find people who absolutely fucking love their job and they're like, yeah, I love my job. Every single day I wake up excited to go into work. Da, da, da. That is really hard to find. Most of the time, you're gonna find people that get a job they tolerate, that pay them decent enough, and then they use that job to pay for all their hobbies and fun stuff later. So this is why in her scenario, I can't be too empathetic, because this is what most people do, right? Like most people are like, cool, I will get a retail job, a serving job, pharmacy job, or whatever, or this, that. I'll get anything, and then I will pay for my hobbies. I want to be an artist, but being an artist doesn't make money, so I will get some job and then do art on the side until I can make it work. Or, hey, I really want to be a writer, but being a writer doesn't pay money, so I'm again getting some job, like I will work at a company as a video editor, and I'll write on the side. Or I really want to be a content creator, but I don't have money. So instead, I'm going to get a job as a bartender and content create on the side. Like most people get a job that can pay them decently enough and then they just do the stuff on the side. All right, hot take. Doing a job you tolerate and having time for hobbies is better than doing a job you love doing. I do agree too. Like, I feel like it's really hard to find a job you love doing, but honestly, I feel like it's a lot nicer to do stuff for yourself.
And yes, I do recognize like the support and money that my parents spent during school. Like, had I known before that I didn't want to be a pharmacist, I would not have gone down this road. But it's like we're down this path now, and now I've realized what I've realized. So we should just move on. But I'm not gonna sit here and act like I don't understand where they're coming from. I 100% understand where they're coming from. But I don't think that they understand. But you know what? It's my fault. Because like I said, I was supposed to have a sit-down conversation with them. And they would just kept talking about it when I was cooking. And I'm like, I just blurted that shit out. Because I'm like, just shut the fuck up. Like, I don't want to talk about this anymore. Every time we talk about it, my skin just crawls thinking about like this being my career. Like, I just really don't. I just know it's not meant to be. Like, and I'm not saying I'm not going to apply to any.
Tyler, one of the hardest pills I had to swallow was that my art can't sustain me and I should prioritize having a steady income until I have the privilege of finding a well-paying art job that can sustain me. Yep. I completely agree. Being unemployed is fine, but not actively job seeking is not a problem. Right, exactly. Let me elaborate on what you said before people start putting words in my mouth, okay? I am not flaming you if you're unemployed, okay? The issue is if you are unemployed and making zero effort to change that, but you are being a burden to other people, right? Like, she is living in her parents' home, so she is a burden to her parents because she's not contributing anything financially, right? Again, you can contribute more than financially, right? You can contribute in household chores, whatever. This is just surface level assumptions from what I'm seeing, right? So she is being a burden on her parents by living in the home without contributing much, while being jobless, while making very half-hearted attempts at job searching. By the way, when I say, again, like, not job searching, okay, applying to one job a week does not really count as job searching if you're unemployed. We got to be enthusiastic and active here, okay, guys? So yeah, that's what I mean. Okay. If you are in a different circumstance, I am not talking about you, okay? If you are a stay-at-home wife and you have a breadwinner partner that is completely okay with you being a stay-at-home partner, that's fine. You guys agreed to that. In this case, the parents did not agree to that and they do not want a stay-at-home daughter. So this is a different scenario, right? Like, I'm talking specifically in a scenario like this.
Pharmacy jobs, like, okay, I might apply to one here and there. And if it's one that I like, I might accept it.
This is what I mean, here and there. Do you know how shitty this job market is? If you want a job, you can't apply to one job a week or a job here and there. Like, apply to everything. Even if you don't really like it, just fucking apply anyways. Okay, if you get the job, woohoo, now you have income, yay, right? I feel like we don't really have the privilege of being really picky right now. Yeah, that's the thing too. I don't know her job history, right? But if you have no previous work experience, you really can't be picky. And she's out here being picky, like, I don't want to do retail, this, that. You have no job, just get one. And then we can talk, like, when you have no job experience, you really can't be picky.
But I'm tired of that being my main focus. I don't think that their generation understands that.
Wait, you're tired of job hunting being your main focus when you're unemployed?
You don't have to have a traditional 9 to 5 to make a good amount of money. And that's their argument. They're like, you're not going to make any money if you don't do this, basically. Like, that's what.
That was what my parents said too. Like, I completely agree. The upper generation sometimes doesn't get it. Like, my parents were like, you're not going to make money content creating. Because they just don't understand. The upper generation, especially if they're immigrants. So content creators did not exist in China when my parents were there, okay? So yeah, obviously they're not going to understand it. They didn't grow up around it. So it's completely foreign of a concept to them. But you got to be able to show something for it. For me, I was content creating, right? And I sat down with my parents and showed them my monthly income, being like, hey, I make like at the time, I make anywhere between $5,000 to $8,000 a month content creating. I can show you, I can clearly make a livable income off of this. I literally sat them down with my little Excel sheet, being like, this is how it looks like, right? You gotta like teach them, but to do that, you gotta make money from content creating first.
What they're trying to tell me, I'm like, that's not true. There's plenty of people who aren't pharmacists who don't have medical healthcare degrees, and they're doing just fine. Like, they're acting like I'm gonna be dirt poor, and they're like, we know what type of lifestyle you live. I mean, I've lived I'm not gonna lie, I've lived a luxurious lifestyle my whole entire life. And it's like, I don't know. I'm just trusting God's plan. At the end of the day, God will always make a way.
No, sorry, no, girl, no, please don't. Look, I'm not trying to flame you if you're religious, but when people say, let Jesus take the wheel, that is not an excuse for you to not do anything, okay? God, I personally am atheist, but God or your God or some spiritual being will only guide the way if you give equal and reciprocal effort, you know? Like, Leah, God helps those who help themselves. Yeah. I can't sit on my butt and do nothing and be like, yeah, God is gonna deposit 100K into my bank account tomorrow. I believe in manifesting too. Yeah. I completely believe in manifesting, but you gotta put in work, you know? You gotta be putting in like equal efforts, okay? So that God can, what's the term? Like, match that, you know what I mean? Personally, it's my little bit of a pet peeve when people say, I'm just gonna let God figure it out, but they're not happy about their circumstance. So they keep complaining about their circumstance and they want to change it, but they make zero effort besides, I'm gonna let God figure it out. Or not even God. It's not even like a sacrilege thing. When people say, I'm just gonna let it work itself out, it will not work itself out.
So I'm not really nervous. Like, I'm actually excited. Like, I'm relieved. I feel like I could actually finally find myself, find what I actually like, my passions. Like, I don't know. I feel like I was just being shackled to just pharmacy. And it's just like, I don't want to do that. Like, I really don't. So at the end of the day, I'm sure they'll come around. They're not like bad people. Like, they're great.
She says she's sure they're coming around, as in she's sure they're not gonna kick her out after 5 months. Like, it kind of sounds like she has zero intention of getting a job. She wants to figure her shit out, which is totally fine. But I mean, you already had 9 months of figuring your shit out, so now you have an extra 5 months of figuring your shit out, you know, like, and you're still gonna keep trying to figure your shit out. You need a job, right? Like, your parents trying to kick you out is not enough of a reality check for you. Going with the flow is totally fine in many circumstances, but if you're in a precarious situation like this one, where you have no job and no job lined up, and your parents are threatening to kick you out, and you say you're going to go with the flow is you're going to be kicked out with no job. I am extremely supportive of people pursuing their passions. I am very supportive of you doing art as a career, content as a career, but we got to be realistic out here, and I'm going to be realistic with you in case nobody will be realistic with you, but I am a full-time content creator. I also make money from my art, you know, so I do make money from freelancing, whatever. Guys, this shit is hard to do and it takes a really long time to set up. So I've seen so many people who want to be a full-time streamer, full-time content creator, full-time artist, da 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 da. I hope you can. I really hope one day it will come to you, but it will take years for you to get to a point where you can make enough money off of your passion to turn it into a job that you will need to get an actual job in the meantime, like a standard job that pays you a salary, so that you can then make it happen.
Great parents. I will not deny any of that. But yeah, y'all, like, really, to the younger girls out there, if there's any people that are older than me that want to give me advice, or wiser than me, you don't even have to be older than me, but further along in life, that's cool. You can drop it in the comments. But I just want to say to like the younger people, or people who, you know, just need to hear this, do what makes you happy. I think that a lot of—
No, do not do what makes you happy. Go get a job. Sorry, I'm trying not to sound mean, but it's just like frustrating because I was in the exact same position as you. That's what it's frustrating, because if younger me did this, I would have been like, girl, stop it. Right? Like, I am so supportive of you pursuing what makes you happy, but we have to be realistic, okay? And if you are in a scenario where you are essentially a burden to people in your life, a responsibility to other people in your life, in this case, her parents, and you do not have a job and you have not been able to sustain yourself on your own for, at this point, 9 months now, and you are also unwilling to get a menial job, quote unquote, right? That's how she kind of made it sound, like a retail job of the sort, but you also don't know what you want to do, and it sounds like you want to do content, but you don't make any money from content. We have to be realistic, and I'm not gonna lie to you, okay? I want you to pursue your dreams, but I will not lie to you guys, okay? And if you want to be a full-time content creator, you need to get a job, because you're not going to make money from content for a very long time. And even if you do make money doing content, it will disappear. It will not last forever. And it is what it is. I'm a full-time content creator, and I can show you my income. I have showed you guys my income. I make 150K per year plus every single year, right? And I can look at my income, and it's so interesting. It fluctuates a lot. It fluctuates a lot. Like in the past, I made a lot of money from Twitch streaming. Now I don't. I make like $500 a month from Twitch max. In the past, I made like couple thousand off Twitch, because content creation will vary. The money you make from content will not last forever. You have to be realistic and understand that it's really difficult to make money through content creating. And even if you make money, you will not be making money from content creation forever. You will not. And at some point, you might have to get an actual job. So you need to keep your skills fresh. You need to keep your job skills fresh. So if you ever are in a scenario where you need to get a job, you actually can. I am very aware of the fact that my content creation income may not last forever, and that at some point I might need to actually get a job. I understand that. And I have functioned as a result of that. So I think pursuing your passions and doing what makes you happy is fine and dandy, but we have to be realistic, and sometimes you just don't get the privilege of that. It is privilege for you to be able to pursue your whatever makes you happy. What would your backup job plan be if content creation does not pay you anymore? My backup job plan would be influencer management or social media management. Not like a content creator social media management, but social media management for a company. If those don't work, then potentially going into, I don't know, UI UX design, right? I've made graphics, stuff like that. This is hard to hear from you, Kat. If you might even need a job in the future, then how can we make content creation as a career? You can make content creation as a career. It may not last forever. But I would also argue very few careers last forever anyways. You're going to get fired eventually. It probably will happen with how nowadays the job economy works. Very rare for people to get like a job that is unionized that they will stick with for 50 years and then retire, Nowadays, there's going to be a lot of job hopping, career hopping, whatever. So I'm not going to be like heartbroken over the idea that maybe one day I cannot be a full-time content creator. I will be sad, of course, but it is what it is. Me saying this and throwing all of this in, I also take in a lot of understanding with this. I save a lot of money. I have a lot of money saved up. I could live off of the money that I have saved up for years. Like I could be jobless for 2 years and I would be fine because I have money saved. And I have saved this much money because I understand that content creation may not be a full-time thing for me. So I have a safety net if I were to go broke. So you just have to function with that understanding. It sounds fun and dandy to be a full-time content creator, and it is, don't get me wrong, but you do have to understand that this job is extremely volatile and it will not last forever.
A lot of people do what makes other people happy, and like I said, I've been caught up in that cycle. But if you have your own goals and people don't approve of them, so what? Do it. Like, you can do anything you put your mind to. Trust in God, go to church, pray, read the Bible, and just, do what makes you happy. Do what you want to do. Make sure that you're proud of yourself, because at the end of the day, that's all that matters. And whatever anybody else thinks, regardless if it's your mom, your brother, your grandma, your sister, your dad, it's your life. So I'm taking control of my life. Not saying I didn't have control over it, but I'm taking full creative control. And so we'll see what these next 5 months have in store. Hopefully something exciting and fun. I'm really optimistic about it, and follow along if you want to see me on this journey.
Guys, don't take her advice. Please do not. Like, she seems very sweet. I'm only saying this based off her words. Like, this is not like a flame against her as a human being, right? But guys, we have to be realistic. Please do not do what makes you happy. Please do not quit and drop everything to pursue your passions. We have to be realistic. Okay, we have to be realistic. Step 1 is make enough money so you can sustain yourself. Step 2 is pursue what makes you happy. Okay, so we gotta get the order correct here. She said, hey, if anybody is older or wiser to give her advice, I'm not trying to claim that I am almighty wise, whatever, but I am a few years ahead of her in where she is currently at in life, because I graduated 3 years earlier than her. So she only graduated a year ago. I graduated at this point 4 years ago. So because of this, I'm like 3 years more advanced in the life, and a lot of our college experience and where she is at in life right now lined up with where I was, which is why I have advice. Like, my advice to anybody in that scenario or in a very similar scenario is Actively job hunt, apply to every single job you can possibly find. You're going to be miserable. Every single day you're going to go into your pharmacy interview, and every single day you're going to go into your pharmacy job. You're going to be upset and you're going to be sad that you're doing this, and you're going to be wishing you were doing something else. But you know what? You got to do what you got to do for a check. So you're going to suck it up, okay? You're going to suck it up and you're going to call it a day. This is a bit of a hot take, but I think a lot of people in my generation don't know how to eat shit for a little bit. Like, we don't know how to suffer. You know what I mean? Like, my mom suffered working a retail job for years because she was an immigrant to the US and her English wasn't great. And then she went to school and she got her college degree and then she was able to get a job in finance. But before that, she had to eat shit working retail for forever because she didn't have enough qualifications to get a standard job. I feel like people in our generation, a fair amounts, don't know or don't understand that sometimes you do need to take the L and suck it up for a little bit. It doesn't feel good. You gotta do what you gotta do. So my advice would be to apply to every single job you can. All those contacts that your parents hit you up. Yeah, there are a lot of people in my generation that are eating a lot more shit, okay? Like, it's so hard to find jobs right now. The job market sucks. Rent and housing is so expensive nowadays. It's so unfair. The prospect of being able to buy a house and have children is out the window for so many families because of it. The rampant rise in political groups that are very intolerant towards groups of people. Gross, right? A lot. But the point I'm trying to make is there's a fair amount of people in my generation who do not know how to suffer. My advice to her, apply to every single job you can find. Take whatever job pays you the best. Literally. Take whatever job pays you the best. Then what you're going to do is you are going to work this job to make money and you are going to do your passions on the side. Her passion sounds like being a content creator. That's what you're going to do. You're going to wake up an hour earlier than when you're going to have to go into work in the morning and you are going to film your videos, right? It looks like she does a lot of get ready videos, whatever. You're going to wake up an hour earlier so you can film a get ready video or whatever content you want to do. Then you're going to go to work and you're going to work your 9 to 5. And then after at 5 p.m. when you're done with work, you're going to be so tired because it's tiring getting off work. You're going to be so dead. You're going to not want to do anything. But because you are working towards building a better future for yourself, you're going to have to suck it up in the short term. And when you get home at 5, you're going to make some more content. You're going to make some more content. You're going to post some more videos, take some outfit posts, whatever you got to do. And you're going to work until like 8. Just pursuing your hobbies. You're going to put 4 hours a day on top of your 9 to 5 to pursuing your hobbies. You're going to do that. And then you're going to do your other stuff and you're going to go to sleep. And every single day, you're going to be really tired. And you're going to have to suck it up. The thing is, you sometimes have to acknowledge that you have to, like in Chinese, we have the term like, 吃苦后耐, right? Like you eat shit early to enjoy life later. That's like basically what the sentiment is. 5 months later, if your parents do kick you out, well, now that you've had your pharmacy job that has paid you pharmacy money, you will be able to get an apartment with money that you have earned yourself, right? And you might be like, Kat, this sounds so unrealistic. This sounds so mean. I did this, okay? I told you in December, I graduated college May 2021. I was a full-time content creator for 6 months, living in my parents' home because our agreement was I graduated college a year early so I would have the time and flexibility to figure my shit out and not have to get a job straight out the gate. So I full-time content created for 6 months. I made like $5,000 to $8,000 a month doing that. So I was already making money from that. But I went and found a job anyways. I wanted to work in esports. So I went and applied to all these esports jobs I could find. And I got an esports job. So I moved down to LA with the job of being a social content producer for Dignitas, which is an esports org. I got an internship, sorry. So I did that internship for 5 months while still living at home. So I did the internship and I still did full-time content. I say full-time because I was working 8 hours a day of content creation, posting 3 days a day on TikTok, 3 YouTube videos a week, streams like 4 days a week. I was doing it all. And then May 2022, Dignitas offered me a full-time job. So I moved down to LA in June. When I moved down to LA, I was working a full-time job in esports and I was still doing full-time content creation. Like I would wake up at 9 and then work until 4 or 5. And then from 5 until 1 or 2 a.m. in the morning, I would be making content. I'll be filming or editing or streaming or posting TikToks or something. I was literally working 12 to 16 hours a day for like 2 years so that I could make enough money. And then I quit my esports job to do full-time content. And I've been full-time content creating ever since. But you gotta do what you gotta do. And it's gonna suck and it's gonna be so tiring. And every single fucking day I was tired and I was so exhausted and I was barely getting any sleep. But was it the healthiest life? No. But I realized I had a dream for my future and my dream was to be a full-time content creator. And I did not make enough money to do that. So I realized that I needed to get a job so that I could pay for myself and still work on my content on the side and eat shit. And so that now I can have a much better work-life balance as a full-time content creator where I can just chill and vibe. And if I want to rot in bed and read books, I could rot in bed and read books because I've established myself enough. I wanted to build my career and my brand up to this point to where I can establish myself enough to chill out. And I've gotten there. Yeah, I didn't feel like I got like a solid work-life balance till last year, like middle of last year. So it took me like 5 years to do this. And you're gonna be working long, long hours for a very long time. But you gotta do what you gotta do. And that would be my advice to her. You're gonna suck it up and you're gonna eat shit for like a year. But you can make it work. Like, I don't doubt that it could happen, right? That she could make it work. But I just really think that she just needs to be willing to suffer for a while, because it's not going to be easy. Because if it was easy, you would see so many full-time content creators out there. So anyways, if I were to go then look at her account, and I'm gonna stop being like judgmental about her takes. She graduated with a degree in pharmacy, but she has not gotten a pharmacy job from 4 days ago. But yeah, she's kind of been spam posting ever since, like 4 days ago, 4 days ago, 4 days ago, 4 days ago. Here's the thing, okay? If I were her, and if I were to give somebody like her with her content advice, I would say she needs to lock her content in too. All she's doing is shit posting right now, which again, this is going to be really harsh advice, but currently she's shit posting, and that is not a great way to grow your account because you don't have a solid brand. Currently, the only two things I know about you is you post a lot of selfie style videos, a lot of mukbang style videos, and you are going to get kicked out by your parents. That's all I know about you right now. I don't really know who you are as a person. I can't gauge what you are as a person. And I don't know what to come to your account for. This is what I mean. If you go to my account, you would go to my account if you want to learn how to become a Twitch streamer or a content creator. That's what you would go to my account for. Like this creator, Jushika, you would go to her account if you want to learn about K-pop or if you want to learn about beauty and makeup. Another example, like I really like her account. She actually, I'm the only person she follows actually, which is really funny. She DM'd me. She was like, oh my God, like I used to follow your Twitch advice. Yay. But every single day she does vlogs. She's hustling, 22 years old, working like 15 hours a day with 3 jobs to try to save money. If you want to watch somebody hustle, you watch her account. So that's what I'm trying to say, right? When it comes to Carrie's account, what would I come to your account for? Currently, just to see whether you got kicked out or not. That's so blunt, but that is the truth, right? I would just kind of snoop to see any updates about you getting kicked out. That's it. I would establish a brand for you. And I think she could do something similar to Liz, okay? And just do a countdown. So right here, POV, 161 days till I get kicked out. Literally, vlog every single day and what you're gonna do, okay? The 161 days before you get kicked out. So you would start your vlog something like 161 days till my parents kick me out. I'm gonna try to become a full-time content creator. Like, so you would post vlogs, right? So today I went and did Pilates, and then I bought some like products, and then I'm gonna go review the products, whatever. And then you would supplement the rest of your account. So not only vlogs, but the rest of your account would be your like niche content. So if you want to be like a fashion influencer, you're like, okay, like 3 ways to style this piece, 3 ways to style that piece. Like you would intermix your vlog content, which is what people are snooping your account for, with something you actually want to be known for, and post on other platforms besides TikTok because she has nothing linked. Make an Instagram, make a YouTube video, start doing weekly vlogs of you locking in before your parents kick you out. People love to follow along with journeys, but right now she's not selling a story enough because she's not gaining enough followers. 400k views, right? Like thousands and thousands of views per videos. This is because everybody is stalking her page right now. She is at the peak of her content career at this point. So she needs to capitalize on it, and it's not happening. If I were in this position, what I would do is, again, make a YouTube channel and do weekly updates on your YouTube channel. Stop spam posting. People will get bored of spam posting and they will unfollow. That's just what's going to happen. Okay, there's a difference between posting in high frequency and spam posting. Posting in high frequency just means you post a lot of videos. Spam posting means you post a lot of irrelevant videos, like videos like this, you know? This is like harsh truth that nobody asked for, but some of you guys are interested in this, right? So that's kind of what I'm talking about. But yeah, like old draft stuff like that, I really wouldn't post that because when you keep spamming your page with random videos, it's going to discourage people from following you, which is why, in my opinion, this is why she only has 2,000 followers, like less than 3,000, where she could have way more if she just kept consistency up with what she's putting out. Like here we have Liz. Like Liz is growing like really, really frequently. Look at how little videos Liz has on her page, but each video does really well numbers, and she is at even more followers than Care. And I don't like to compare people like this, but I'm just comparing this as like content of the 2 pages, right? But it's because Liz's content is very, very niche down. You know exactly what you're getting from her when you go to her page, and she's gonna grow as a creator. Like for sure. Because all she does is like finance and hustling and locking in. I'm just comparing because this is like, I think Carrie could really kind of like pivot her content too, and it would fit. Those are kind of what I do. But I would really, for her, I would really lock in on that YouTube because you could get the YouTube ad revenue, right? Which is how you would start making money. So I would post, again, weekly long form YouTube videos and then gatekeep your information and put it in your YouTube video. So, like, you could hint at updates about your parents kicking you out, but put all the tea on your YouTube so people are forced to go over to your YouTube to watch the tea. You get the watch time, then it'll get you into the YouTube partner program faster so that you can go make money. But, like, give little teases on your TikTok, like POV, your parents said, like, the craziest thing to you when they kicked you out. And then the caption would be something like, full story on my YouTube. Then you kind of, like, everyone will kind of shuffle over to your YouTube because they're like, what did they say? You know? But yeah, looking at her content too, she does a lot of food content. Like, if you want to be a mukbang food creator, that is another great way to kind of like go down too, right? But I would definitely lock in with the mukbang food content. Like, make a YouTube channel. You could, cook while you're telling the story of your parents kicking you out. You could just do a mukbang as you're talking about that story, whatever. So that way, if you do want to rebrand to being a food creator later, then you've incorporated so much food cooking content into your videos already. It would be a very easy transition for your audience. All right, guys, this is my new YouTube channel. I will be having more advice videos on here soon. So there's not much right now because I just started it up again, but it's because I rebranded my main channel, so I'm putting advice videos on this channel now. Next week's video is going to be a DaVinci Resolve tutorial. The most basic, dumbed down DaVinci Resolve tutorial. I will be giving more advice videos. We'll be seeing more, so go follow this account if you want more tutorials and stuff. We'll be back onto our regularly scheduled content. Here's the other thing too, because people like to say, oh, just show your personality, screw niching down, you need to have a personality, da da da. It's so much harder to grow off of only personality content, and if you're gonna get kicked out in 5 months, I would not bank on personality content. It's way too slow to grow like that. Like, you still need something, you know? Most personality creators still had something they can tie their content back to. Like, a creator I really like is called Julia, I can't pronounce her last name, Hyun? I would say that she is a huge personality creator. Like, she is like all personality, maybe personality. But her content still ties back to fashion and lifestyle, right? She showcases a lot of fashion. She blew up for her like takes on hoodies. So like a lot of beauty, a lot of hoodies, and then sometimes some food stuff and beauty stuff. But there is still something you can tie her content back to. I would say like she's probably the most personality creator that I follow. When people say my content is for everyone, you are kind of full of shit. I am sorry. It's because no content really can be for everyone. Even Mr. Beast, there's people who don't like watching Mr. Beast's content. Somebody whose content basically is the most geared towards everyone you can find. The thing is, if you brand yourself as my content is for everyone, it means you have no direction. A big thing in marketing is identifying your target audience. This will allow you to fit your content and to cater your content to your target audience so you can get views and sales. And if you have no target audience because your audience is everyone, that means you have no direction with where your content is going. Every content, everybody, every brand has some sort of target audience. It could be a very broad audience, but there's still an audience nonetheless. I would say my content, I do Twitch streaming, content creation, education. But beyond that, my audience tends to target Gen Z and millennial people, a Gen Z and millennial audience that tends to be neurodivergent. That just tends to be my target audience because I talk quite fast. And I feel like as a fellow neurodivergent girly, I vibe a lot with neurodivergent people. So we just, we get each other. People like Harris Heller, Alpha Gaming, targets a much different audience. I find that his audience tends to target more of the tech gamery bros than what my audience targets, even though we do kind of operate in a very similar niche. I would even say with like brands, different brands have different target audiences. The target audience for Crocs is not the same target audience as Nike. I would say if you were to argue Nike is for everyone, that is still not a great argument. Nike's audience is pretty broad, but there are still people who Nike will not target. Like people who like to dress in high fashion will never wear Nike because it is too athletic and athleisure for them. So that's what I mean. A lot of people have a misconception that because you identify a target audience, oh no, I am ostracizing my potential audience, right? I'm reducing the amount of people that might watch my content. I'm gonna get less views. No, you're gonna get more views by identifying a target audience. Trust me. If you're somebody with multiple interests, I would still say you have to niche down. You can have multiple interests. You don't have to make content about every single one of your interests. I have plenty of interests, but I don't make content about all of it because it will just be too confusing for my audience. I like fashion. I like beauty. I like makeup. I like books. I like art. I like streaming and streamer education. I also like finances and a bunch of other stuff. I like scuba diving. I don't make content about every single one of these because it's just a little too confusing for my audience, right? Pick the thing that you think you can make a lot of content about, and let's stick with that. I know I can make a lot of educational content. I can yap a lot about like drama news content. I will stick with those. I like books. I don't think I can make too much book content. So I'm just gonna read in my own leisure and I'm not gonna make content about it. You don't have to make content about everything.